now we're coming towards the end already. Here I'm going to show you how to work the beautiful neckline, and we're also going to finish off the underarm. Now we're ready to overlock the armhole, so you want to go all the way around here. And again, I've got the side up that I want to see, so it's the side with the sleeve that needs to be visible. Make sure you don't fold over your seam allowances. And here we go. Now you want to just run your fingers along this. Is there any tightness in your overlocking? You don't want that. Then I iron my overlocking into the body. So I get this tiny little seam there. It might not even be 1 centimeter, just as much as it will go over. And we're going to top stitch this just foot width, so that would be fine. And then I'm going to iron my seam into the body on that side as well. You could now top stitch right from the top, but I'm just going to do the lower part here at an angle and then all the way around. Make sure that you turn your top inside out as well, and then I can just go around here. It's really, really simple. Don't stretch it down because that doesn't look so nice. Up the other side, come in at an angle, done. Overlock the top. Make sure again that your overlocking doesn't fold over. The seam allowances of the sleeves need to face into the body of it. And here I'm going to show you a little trick. So where the elastic is going to push against the seam allowance, it will be awfully hard to get through. So you want to make sure that that one you're actually stitching down. And next, we are ready to do the top part. Looking really good. Now, one thing, a lot of you might have a lighter jersey which stretches. So you've got two options here. You can either put more elastic. So what you want to do is you might want to get yourself some iron-on interfacing specifically for jersey. You can get that from Joann's. Cut yourself a strip, and then that strip will simply be ironed to the edge. Of course, you do that at the beginning. If you're at all worried, that's a really good way of doing it. And then I'm using a pellon again for this one, which is great. And you want to just fold down the edge of the fabric again, 1 centimeter seam allowance. And then we're going to stitch that in from the back to the back again, right? So just fold your fabric over. You could iron it first. I don't really need to do that. I kind of have a feeling for where it is, and I'm making sure that I'm doing a 1 centimeter seam allowance so the elastic is not too tight, and then it's not so hard to distribute later. So I'm fairly much on the edge here. So some of you might say, oh, well, I fold it over maybe 1.2 centimeters or 1.3 at the very most though, so that I have a little bit more wiggle room. We're going all the way to the other side. Just go to the back, and then I want to also insert my elastic the same way as ever onto your safety pin, and I'm going in one end. And because this tunnel is so small, you'd really have the benefit now of having stitched down the seam allowance that here comes on this side, where it would have been just facing right into you, and if you get caught in that, it's very difficult. I've had situations where I've actually had to unpick just to get over the seam. I don't know about you. So if you've stitched that down for a small tunnel, then that can't happen, and that is so much better. So you work your way through to the other side. You basically do the same as what you did for the sleeve. As soon as it's very close to slipping into the tunnel, you will secure it. Then we work our way through to the other side. There it goes. Make sure that you stitch that in the ditch in first before you continue on, so you don't have to do it twice. So, and now I've put my elastic through and sewn it in on both sides. What you want to now do is distribute your gathers, and we want slightly less gathers in the front and more over the sleeve. You also want to check that your sleeve is actually the right width. You don't just want to say, okay, that's fine like that, because they probably won't be. So you can see here that I had to adjust a little bit to make it just right. You can even put it on your kid and just push it on her and see what suits best. You know, do you want a little bit more gather in the front? Do you want less? I prefer less, of course. And now once I've found that and they're both the same, I stitch in the ditch here where the seam is so that the elastic can't go anywhere, and then it'll always stay the same. So I do that both sides, and then I can, you know, wiggle it a bit in there and stretch it, and there you go, that's done. All I have to do now is the back. It's beautiful, actually, really cute. Pick up your back, and you might pin it or you might not want to pin it, and just turn it down. And like I said, you know, if you have trouble with this and it stretches too much, you can put the violin in, or we could cut the elastic longer, and there's a separate video for that. If it's not up yet for you testers, it will be up at some stage, so that you can see how you can do that slightly differently as well. I personally quite like it like that. It's very quick and easy. Just stitch it down, a tiny bit of stretch maybe, but it just stretches on its own, so you might not want to do that. Secure your stitches, and again, you can already see mine has stretched without stretching it, so I'm going to steam that little bit back in. The slimmer or the finer the fabric is, the harder this gets, and the easier it will be if you had, for example, just had longer elastic and not gathered the back, but put it in so it can stretch, so it remains the same length that it needs to be. Ta-da! Well done, you are done. Big pat on the back. You've made a super cute summer top, and I hope you are back with another course from Frocks Frolics soon. Bye for now.